right, folks, welcome to another edition of From the Bottom Up, our series where we take an album and rank all the songs starting from our least favorite or worst up until the best. And it's been very popular. We thank you for all your support for those who've been regular listeners here, regular viewers. And we are going to start off this time by doing probably one of the biggest albums ever to be recorded in the history of music here. And we are talking none other than that's right, the Eagles' Hotel California, which saw the light of day on December the 8th, all the way back to 1976, the year of the bicentennial. This was the band's fifth studio album, peaked at number one, and has gone now 26 times platinum, double diamond, almost a three diamond album. Unbelievable. Produced by none other than the usual guy behind the knobs doing most of the big Eagles albums, and that's Bill Szymczyk. And also, of course, on Asylum Records. And we're going to do 8 tracks. If you look at the album listing, it might show 9, but we're not going to count the Wasted Time reprise when all it really is just a little bit of it should have been tacked right on to Wasted Time instead. I don't know why they bothered putting that little bit on there, but anyhow, we're going to go with 8, and we're going to start off with Try and Love Again, which features lead vocals by none other than Randy Meisner, who would also be his last song that he would sing on an Eagles album. Um, Sadly, because he left the band afterwards, and that's when Timothy B. Schmidt came into play. So that's what we got at number 8. It's an okay song. Don't have any problem with the song. I don't have problems with any of these songs. They're all good to great on this album. But unfortunately, something's got to be last, and this is the one. Just because the other songs, I think most would agree that you can't you can't knock perfection on the rest of the album. I mean, this by far is just sadly the weakest track on the album. So that's what I got at number 8. Number 7, we've got Pretty Maids All in a Row, which marks a contribution from Joe Walsh, who not only wrote it along with his drummer who's been with him throughout a long time, Joe Vitale. The song features Walsh also on vocals, and it's his Eagles vocal debut. So that's what we got here at number 7. Uh, cool song. Walsh has played this one. Eagles play it still, mostly when they do the Hotel California in its entirety, but still, definitely one of those songs that could tell it's Joe, that's for sure. All right, number 6. This is probably where a lot of people would differentiate, some of the songs, but we've got Wasted Time, which to me is a classic Eagles song. I've always liked this one. I believe it's on the live album. Um, it was hard to put it any higher because I liked all the other songs better. This is one of those cases where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But this is where I felt that it landed. Although it is a great song, you put this on most of the other albums, it's going to definitely be a lot higher, a lot better for sure. So that's what I got. Wasted Time, just a great, gorgeous Don Henley vocal, and yeah, great song. It's going to take me down to number 5. I've got Victim of Love, which was written by Don Felder, Don Henley, Glenn Frey, and J.D. Souther. And the interesting note on this one was Don Felder sang the lead vocals on it during the early takes of the song during the recording process, but for some whatever reason, just couldn't pull off what the band was kind of looking for, what the song needed. So Don Henley stepped in, and presto, you got another great Henley vocal here, "Victim of Love," another standout. This is a song that Felder still plays live to this day in his set. He really loves this song. Obviously, he helped write it, so Can't fault them there. Definitely a very underrated song of the catalog, in my estimation. Number four, we've got a song for you. Peaked at number 11 on the charts, and we are talking Life in the Fast Lane, which was the third single released from the album. Still played live, obviously. Obviously, it's one of those songs that, their band will always play it live, as long as Joe's still in there playing. Um, Joe even plays it during his solo shows. Um, just a great song. And it's interesting how it came about. All it was really just a riff that Joe was playing, kind of like messing around with during a warm-up session during rehearsals. And Don Henley said, "What was that?" And he liked it so much, he goes, "We got to build a song around this riff." And sure enough, that's what these guys came up with. Just a great song, one of the best known songs in the band's catalog. It's like once they did that, the rest was history. Number three, got The Last Resort, the closing song to the album. It also is the longest song, clocking in at 7 minutes and 25 seconds. Um, it's one of only two Henley Fry compositions on the album. And Fry had mentioned during interviews back, at the time where he gave a lot of the credit to Don Henley. He calls this the epic that Henley always wanted, talks about like environmental stuff. So what we want to do is preserve, not destroy our environment. So yeah, even back in the day, these guys were still thinking, you know, about things that, yeah, we wish people would have thought about the whole time, that we wouldn't be in a lot of these predicaments that we're in here. But just a great song. It's one of those ones that band doesn't play it a lot live, but it's great when they do. They usually do it obviously during the Hotel California entirety set, just like a couple of these other songs. But it's good to hear it though. It was a fresh breath of fresh air when I seen them do this one for sure, because I've always loved this song. Number two. Now, two and one for me, depending on the day, could switch. I feel today, unfortunately, this one's going to be the number two guy here. And we are talking to none other than New Kid in Town, which interestingly enough was the first single released from the album. And of course, it topped the charts. And the odd thing about this album, it's the only song on the whole album where Glenn Frey sings lead vocals. I mean, I never really looked at it that way before. But yeah, Don Henley has five, Frey has the one, Meisner has the one, and Joe Walsh has one. So it's just weird how that came about because usually Glenn Frey would sing three, sometimes four songs an album up to this point. So it was quite interesting how this is the only one he had. But hey, it's a big song. I really love it. New Kid in Town takes me back to a great moment in time, and I've always loved this song. It's a Grammy Award winning song, and always is often cited as one of the band's best. And how can you deny it? All right. And of course, that would make the title track, Hotel California, our number one. It peaked at number one. Due to the urging of Don Henley, the song became a single because he was very vocal about it. And that was despite the length of it. You got to remember, at 6 minutes and 30 seconds, usually you don't release too many singles that lengthy unless you edit it or pare it down or whatever you want to call it. But the band took a stand and refused to allow it to be edited down because every part of that song, every moment is crucial. It's just one of those songs where you just couldn't cut anything out of it. Some songs you can, let's be honest, but not this song, especially the the problem is you can't cut out the best part of the song, which is the guitar solo between Walsh and Don Felder going back and forth with each other near the end of the song. I mean, you just couldn't cut that out. You could have tried to edit it down, but it would not have been the same. And yeah, just a great song. Interesting how a song came together. It was basically written by Felder with the riff and everything, and then Henley wrote the majority of the lyrics with a little help from Fry. But what else can you say? This is the song, the album, it helped put these guys and made them as big as they were back then. It's just a shame that the follow-up, the long run, while in my estimation is a good album, very good album, but it just you could see how this album was just too hard to follow up. It was a solid follow-up, but there's a lot of things that were going on at the time with the band, and sadly, that was the beginning of the end. It's kind of like these guys reach a certain pinnacle, and once you reach it, you get all this newfound fame, or you get bigger, and things just get out of control. And then before you know it, the band's just not in unison like they were prior to this album taking off and exploding. Obviously after the long run, you could see all the friction and everything, and they just broke up. And it took them a long time, like what was it, like 14 years to reunite. And ever since they reunited in '94, they pretty much have been around the scene since then. And then, of course, sadly, the passing of Glenn Frey in 2016, and the band, they still carried on, and they've done a great job, with the people they get came in to replace the departed members who have left for whatever reason. And yeah, they got that big show going on at the Sphere in Las Vegas, and it's supposed to be the wind down tour. It's supposed to be the last one where they're just doing them all in Vegas there. So we'll see how that transpires here. But yeah, what a great career. This album definitely helped put these guys totally on the map here for sure, um, to where they are today. We're going to give you a final quick rundown. We got number 8, Try and Love Again. Number 7, we've got Pretty Maids All in a Row. Number 6, I've got Wasted Time. 5, Victim of Love. 4, Life in the Fast Lane. 3, The Last Resort. 2, we've got New Kid in Town. And number 1, Hotel California. And that concludes this edition of From the Bottom Up. See you on the flip side.